I enlisted in the Army in October 1961. And after my tour in Vietnam, I was sent to work at the Signal Warfare Laboratories. And I love my job so much, someone would have to tap me on the shoulder and tell me it's lunchtime, or tap me on the shoulder and tell me it's time to go home. After I retired, I went in for an interview at Wang Laboratories, and all I wanted to do was be a bench tech and earn $11 an hour. That had been plenty for me at the time. And after the interview, I asked him, I said, "What type of job are you hiring me for?" And he says, "I want to hire you as a senior electrical engineer." And he apologized. He said, "All I can start you out is at $53,000 a year." And I went into shock because I never thought I would make that kind of money. At Wang, I started getting to the point where I'd sit in my cubicle and I would do my work, and I got real fidgety, real anxious, real all I could think of was leaving work and driving my car. And I was driving around and I kept thinking, there's something wrong with me. I started becoming depressed, and I just became so isolated from the world. So isolated to the point I was only into myself. And in myself was a very deep depression. And I knew I needed medical help, and I kept seeking medical help. And finally, I was diagnosed as being manic depressive, and that I should be on a regimen of lithium. But being on lithium, it seemed like I was contained in a box. I really couldn't get out of that box. I could function, but it was just like I was carrying this little shield with me everywhere I went. And again, the thing of wandering got into my blood. And I was uneasy with the way I was working, so I just decided to totally retire. I really couldn't focus on a subject for any long period of time. The only thing my focus was on was the fact that I was not operating mentally or physically as a normal person should. And it scared me. I was scared. And it got to the point where I decided I had to make a break. I made reservations on a Greyhound bus and I came to Pennsylvania, and I lived in my brother's basement for 6 months. My world was crushed, and I was seeking family, thinking that's my last chance just to be around family. Maybe they'll tolerate me. I just didn't want to function anymore. I knew I needed help, and I'm not the type that's wanting to harm myself or to commit suicide. I always seek help, but a lot of the help I was seeking wasn't helpful until I met Dr. Chingapa.
What was dramatic when I saw him was he couldn't sit. It was, an old fashioned akathisia description. He could not sit in my office. I used to walk with him on the corridor. So, talk about privacy in hospitals and trying to get interviews. We're walking, getting history. I'm walking behind him.
I apologized to him. I said, I'm having a hard time sitting still. I'm not really in control of what I'm doing. I'm just pacing. And I'm really nervous. I'm upset. I feel that, I'm not getting anywhere. And he told me that he may have a drug that would help me.
And so we went slow. And eventually it was built up to a fairly hefty dose of quetiapine.
It seemed like as soon as I started taking the medicine, I calmed down. I was sleeping nights. My thoughts were good. I wasn't having any nightmares. I wasn't having any flashbacks. And my life just sort of started gelling together to where I was starting to act like a normal person.
And actually, on the second, maybe the third visit, I could recognize him, literally. Because, from this unkempt, not unkempt, maybe that's too harsh a word, but, sort of minimally groomed sort of person, here was someone, well groomed sitting there. I thought he was a staff member sitting outside in the waiting room. It changed completely. Um, and reading a book, he couldn't sit, basically. And so this was, the conversion in a matter of few weeks.
I've been taking it for about 10 months, and I really feel it's done me a world of good. I still have depression, but I don't have the uncontrollable body motions. I don't have the uncontrollable thoughts or the hallucinations or any of the other things that were bothering me.